turn this over to you.
Excellent.
Okay, give me 1 second. My recording is not working. Hold on, guys. There we go. All right, Sardis, you're ready to go. Have a great session.
Oh, thank you. Hopefully you are seeing my screen correctly with no problem. Yes, well, I'm going to start. My name is Sardis, and I'm happy to, oh, I think I have problem. Just give me a moment. Okay. And I'm happy to share with you some of the knowledge that I have gained deploying report to report manager. About me, I am a consultant at Primary Works, and like you probably, if you live in Florida, I enjoy the warm weather in Florida, and I also love learning exciting new things and sharing them. And also, I love this little frog over here because it made me laugh. Today, I'm going to be using Reporting Manager, and I'm going to be deploying a report from the BIT environment, which is the Business Intelligence Development Studio. And I'm going to start viewing them. I'm going to show them using Report Manager. We're going to play with some of the content management activities, and I would like to say we play, even though I'm going to play, is because I hope you get involved with the activities. I will be using native mode report server only. SharePoint integrated mode, that probably will be another webinar, but if you are interested, you can still benefit from this webinar. And if you would like to follow along with the activities that I'm going to be doing in Content Manager, you must have Content Manager role or administrator access. So before getting with a hands-on, I would like to explain that there are different deployments that we can perform with SSRS. The first one is the deploying to a report from a project using BIT. Let me show you what I mean by this, even though I have the view there. But what I'm meaning is this, using the Solution Explorer. And this option is mostly used by report developers, and it's very simple, and this is the most commonly used. Also, the second one is the is used by just give me a moment. I have a little problem here with my let me show you my screen. Okay, and the second one is uploading the report to a manager. This option is mostly used by power users that not necessarily they have developers skills, but they have access to the report manager to upload the report or any other file in the report manager. And the last option is using the command RS utility. Usually this one is used for report administrators, or if you have a developer, somebody that knows how to write a script file using Microsoft Visual Basic.net, you can deploy a script file, and this option is usually, you can use it if you want to deploy reports in bulk. And right here you can see this is the format. I cannot try to doing it my own, and it worked perfectly, but I'm not going to be focusing too much on this one. So I think it's time for us to get hands-on. Enough of the power slide, and let's start playing with the deployments. I have here some of the reports that I have created myself, and also some of them that I have borrowed. You probably know about this. It's very useful to have templates. if you have the same screen that I have, you probably see that here I'm not showing my solution, but if you would like to see your solution, one trick that I learned, you can use the options and then use the project and solution, use general, and you can always show your solution. And voila, you have it. So now hopefully if you're following along, you will have the same screen that I have. So before getting and start deploying some reports, I would like to show you this part here, what is called Reporting Services Configuration Manager, this application. And I always like to make sure that these have the right setups or the right settings that I need to report. You can find this in all programs under your Microsoft SQL Server folder. And it's right here. And when you click in there, it asks you to connect to the server. You can find the server you're using, the report instance, and you connect. Right now, you can see I'm using my server, my native mode. And what I'm using is mostly out-of-the-box settings. So I have the built-in account using the network service, pretty simple. And if you have access or somebody have access for you, they can set it up and give you the right access to deploy reports. And one thing that I learned that I found very intriguing doing my roller coaster of deploying is the web service URL and the report manager URL. And they look very similar. If you can see over here where it has the URL, it looks very similar to the report manager URL. And I was wondering, well, what is the difference? And the difference, well, this web service URL is where it would allow you to configure or modify the URL that access the report server by itself, whereas the report manager URL, it actually is like the presentation link, is where you want the user to see your report. For example, if I click here, it will take me, well, you're seeing now the report manager, but it will take me to this page, and you can see I have some links. It's pretty basic. This link will allow me to bypass the report manager. Let's see if I click some of the folders. And you will see it will take me straight to my reports. It's not very user-friendly, but if you want to just go straight to your report, then you can do it from there. But if I would like to deploy and share my reports, then using this option, this URL link, this is the one that I have right here, it will take me to this more user-friendly, kind of like a presentation URL where I want my users to look at my reports. So there you go. There is a difference I learned, and I'm very happy with the knowledge, because I believe knowledge is power. So I feel more confident using this application. Don't feel intimidated because as you get used to make more deployments, then and you start learning to play with this, and then you will feel very comfortable. And this database will have the database set up, and as you can see, I'm using a pretty basic network service account. This is customizable. According to your company needs, you probably will have a different credential than the one that I have. This also application has several options here, but I'm not going to dwell into them right now, because what is most important for me that you can get out of from this webinar is like the basic options, how to deploy and how to play around with Content Manager. So for right now, I'm going to just click out of this, and then we have the Report Manager. But before getting to the Report Manager, I'm going to delete this because I would like to start from scratch. And I'm going to start my deployment from the BITS environment. So before getting to the point, as you can see, I have a plain canvas right here. There is nothing here. Before deploying anything from BITS, I need to set up the project. In this case, my project is December SSRS. I just right-click in the properties, and you can see what I'm mostly concerned is to set up the target server URL. All these options that you have, these checks, the text boxes here, you can configure all that information. And I would like to find the target. Where am I going to deploy my server? And as I show you, we have the two URLs, and I'm going to pick the one where allow me to deploy to the server, which is this one right here. This is all where it came from. It helped me, and I hope it helps us to know where this URL come from. Of course, if you don't have access and your administrator have access to, then they will provide the target URL for you to deploy your server. And then I put this information here. The report parts, in case that you have reports that have graphics or that have any other elements that you would like to use and reuse on the report manager, you can store it in this folder. You can also create like a hierarchy of folder by using the /. And this here is where my reports are going to be deployed. It's created by automatically. And you can also, again, create a hierarchy of folders if you want by adding the /. Right here, I'll have a space for my data sources and for my data set. Oh, before getting to there, I learned that it's best practice if I deploy my shared data source first, which, oh, I already deployed. Let me go back again. You right click and you deploy, and then if you are using the native mode report, which is the one that I'm using right now, you will have this output window where it shows the information, where are you deploying to, and well, you can see when successful. So let's go back to my report manager and let's refresh, and I have my data source right here. We're going to talk about this a little bit, but let's go back, and it didn't deploy my project, but I'm going to deploy them right now. And I can select, if I would like to deploy all of these reports, I just right click and deploy, and it will deploy all of them. But if I want to select some of them, then I just choose and pick some of them. Right here, I would like to choose like product by month. I would like to select this one. It's similar to when you're choosing files that you can select and deselect. And I would like to select this one. Oh, recipe by month. I just right click and I deploy my, and you can see I have warnings, but I'm not concerned about these warnings that I have right here in this output window. I just concerned right now is just to deploy them. It's probably something that I have to do in Visual Studio to make them look pretty, but right now I'm more concerned of deploying my folders. And this is pretty simple, not scaring at all. You have your reports deployed. And you can see here, I have my 3 reports that I deployed right here. Before going any further, anybody have any questions? No? Yes? Maybe? Okay. I'm going to continue. And if I'm speaking too fast, I apologize. I'm going to try to slow down. I'm just very excited that to be given this opportunity to share with you what I've learned. Well, now that we are in Report Manager, this is a very simple presentation URL that you have for your users, and you have the header. Probably for you guys that already know about a Content Manager, I apologize, but I know there are people that are probably never seen this before, so I would like just to explain a little bit about a Report Manager view. So we have the header over here that will never change, and according to your permissions, you will see some possible links. Home, which is pages, this is the one, my subscriptions. I will talk a little bit about this later. And the site settings that I have right here. You have more properties that you can play with. and also, of course, the link for help and search. I would like to mention about the search, something that I found very interesting is that it's very case sensitive. I mean, right now we have 2 folders, but if you have 10, 15 folders and you need to find a report or a folder, you can find it here. Let's say that I would like to find a data source folder, and I just type data. Apparently it's not case sensitive. But I was able to find, but let's say if I'm not sure what is the call and I just want to use a wildcard like this. I say, well, hopefully it will find it. Then one of the things that I found is that, yes, this does not work. It doesn't take any wildcards, doesn't take any logic or Boolean information like data or data source. It won't give me that. I have to name close to what I have named. Like in this case, data source, I didn't have to actually indicate the whole name. But it will help you to find your folder or your reports. So let's go back to the home page. And then I have this bar here, this gray or blue bar. I don't know how you're seeing it. To me, it's blue. And I can create new folders in the home page. Let's say I would like to create a folder for another project, and I would like to call it January folder. And I can have a description here, and I can hide this. I will show you this later, and I click OK. So you see, I got the January folder. When it gives me the option, if I would like to hide this folder, I would like to show you this. I will hide this tile view. It would be nice if it tells me that it was already done. I have over here at the last that said details view. Right now we're using a tile view, but I have the details view. And let me also mention that if you're not seeing everything exactly as I have right here, you probably have a different version, but it's similar. The features are very similar. So here you can see I have some gray folders. Those are the ones that are being hidden. This is not a security option. It's just you are hiding folders that normally a user or your user won't see, but it's not like a security option, because if I click the details view, then you will see the folders and you can delete them. Well, I would like to delete them, but it's there. Is the folder, the hidden folder is there, and you can delete it. But I delete it because I don't need it right now. But you can see how it changes the view, and it will give you more information if you have description, the modified date, modified by, etc. And we have also in the bar a report builder option, and those probably of you are familiar with report builder. Is similar to BITS environment over here. It's just that have less features, but at least it allows you, if you would like to edit a report, it will give you the option to edit the report in this environment. And I would love to go into detail with this, but this is another webinar too. I think we do have information about this report builder. It's very useful and it's very similar, but I just wanted to show that the option is there. And of course we have the settings. You would like to assign roles or edit the current roles that you have in a folder. And as you can see, we have the description of the roles and the description of the role and the role type. And these you will use according to your business requirements or your business need, what type of access you would like your viewers to have. And you can also upload files. Let's say I would like to upload a new data source or a new report. Let's say I would like to upload a new report. I have it went automatically, but I mean, you will have it in your files. And I can override if I have it there. And then voila, you can see I have my file uploaded there. pretty nice. It's pretty, I mean, I can see that this is not difficult because you probably are familiar with the Windows Explorer where you can go and create folders and upload files. So it's not difficult at all. Well, now that we're here, now we have deployed our reports. What else can we do with our report, right? This is the fun part. Well, each one of these reports, as you can see, they have also properties. And you can configure each one of these reports differently. Even though they share one data source here, but you can configure each report separately. Let's see, now it's time for me to play. Let's say that, for example, according to your business needs, you would like to create, let's say you would like to move this report to a different folder. Let's say I would like to create a new folder here. And I would like to name it Colorado. I will explain you why I choose the name Colorado folder. And I would like to add a description, is sales for Colorado. I click OK. I have my folder right here. And I would like to go into this report that I have right here. I would like to see what I have under the state of Colorado, what my sales look like. And my boss or anybody in the organization said, well, I want that report, and I want to see that report only for the Colorado sales. I said, okay, I can create a variation or a copy of this report and put it in a new folder or leave it in the same folder if I wanted to. So I will go ahead and create what is called a link report. And here you can see I have the properties. You can modify this, and it probably will look different than the original, but you have all these options. And I want to call this again Colorado sales. And here I have the option to change the location because I say, well, I wanted to have in the Colorado folder. Pretty obvious, right? And I will select OK. And you can see over here on the top, I have my link is show home, is in the Colorado folder. And I still have access to all the information because it's just a copy from the other report. And you can see the difference is that I have here like a link, like a change. And when I hover, it will tell me that it's a link report. But there is still more work to be done to this report. And I say, well, right now, if I click on the report, then I see all the sales. Well, I would like now to just modify the parameters of this report to only show the Colorado sales. Well, how can I do that? Let me stop for a moment. Anybody has questions? I'm sorry, I'm talking. Let anybody ask questions.
Yes, Artis, this is Mike. Yeah, we've had several questions come up in the chat room, but I've already answered them with the text. Any good questions come up, I'll let you know. Okay.
Oh, excellent. Thank you, Mike. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and let's play with the parameters of this report. And as you can see, the properties, a pretty nice description of the modified date, creation, who created this report, and then I have the parameters. And right now you will see that I have my parameters currently are prompting the user for the state name, the city, the reseller name. But I just want to narrow the search to only show the Colorado sales. So I have here a state name, a string data type, and I'm going to create type the default value. Oh, I'm sorry. Apparently I can type today. But I don't want my users to see Colorado. I won't like my users to see any prompting. I just want, or the access for them to see any other state. So I will hide this. And then I'm going to see how it looks like. I'm going to apply. Again, it would be nice. It will say it's already applied, but right now, this is what we have. I'm going to trust it. And then let's go to the Colorado folder and I'm going to see my report. And as you can see, it takes longer. Oh no, it doesn't take long. I was waiting for the whole report. You can see it say Colorado for it have the Colorado cells. It's already have the values chosen for me for the state. All I have to do is select the city. And you can see in the other report, you could have probably have, you probably saw that I have an extra prompt that I said the state, but not in this case. And then I will view my report. Pretty neat, right? Okay, what else can I do with this information? I'm sorry, as you can see, then I have a variation of a report, and I was able to modify it. I can do more things to this report if I wanted to. Probably in this case, let's play with the subscription. I would like to send this to by email to my manager or to anybody in the organization who would like to have a copy of this report. And I just gonna select a subscribe, but what happened? It tells me here that I need to have my credentials stored. Otherwise, I won't be able to do this. So, well, I will go to home, and then I have to do to configure my data source. I have to store the credentials so I will be able to perform this this task. So I will go to my data source. This is when I need to talk about my data source. Right here, this data source is coming from, as you saw earlier, that I deployed from my project. And I have the connection string right here. So all this information I have here in my data source view page. I can add a description if I wanted to. It's coming from data warehouse. I can hide in the tile view. I don't want to do that right now, but I can do that. And the data source type, I have Microsoft SQL Server, but I can choose if I have other type of data source, different providers here. And this connection string, I show you where it's coming from. It's coming from this part where I have the data source. In my case, I use in the local host and the name. And then I am presented with different credentials. The simplest type of security to implement is Windows Integrated Security. But you probably have different data sources that don't use Windows or Microsoft Credential Security. And in my case, even though I do have it, I cannot do the subscription because I need to store my credentials in the report server. Before going to store my credentials in the report server, I would like to talk about the credentials supplied by the user running the report. I will see this as a security measure because it helped to, it asks for the name and password for the data source. You can customize this text. Let's say I can say, please, a name and password. I wanted to. And since I'm using Windows Credential, I have the option over here, and I say yes. Let's see how this looks like. Let me apply, and let me go to my report that I have here. Oh, Colorado source. As you can see, it's asking me for my login name and my password. And let me just enter my credentials. My password, pretty long password, right? And there you go. I can even change my credential here. And I have access to my report. Voila. Let's go now to explore the other options that I have for my data sources. So let's say I don't want the users to enter the name and password. I don't want to prompt them for this. and I just would like to store the credentials on the server, which allow me to do the subscription, to do also play with a snapshot and other features that are available to Content Manager for performance of your report. So, well, let's use this one then, because this is the one that we need for the subscription, right? So, again, I'm typing my credentials. I have this option because I'm using Windows credentials, but I also have the option to impersonate the authenticated user after a connection has been made. And I found this is if you, mostly for the administrator or the DB owner, if they would like to test a data source, this will this option provides support for the user to use a transaction SQL functionality, which is called set user. Let me see if I can. It is called set user T-SQL transact in the database, and mostly the DB owner or the administrator will use this function to test a data source or a query that using different credentials. And okay, I will test my connection. It works, and I'm applying here. So let's go ahead and do the subscription. Find my report. Yay. And I will subscribe. Ooh. Here for the subscription, see how it worked. It didn't give me any errors. So I'm ready to deliver my report. I have the option to choose email or Windows file share. I would like to talk about the email delivery. It's mostly common. And I have to whom I'm sending this and how it actually tells you use semicolon, separate if you have multiple address. This is pretty useful if you have a few email addresses that you would like to send your report. Your format, you can include the link, and they have a variables here where it have the report name, and also we have the execution time. You can select your priority, normal, low, or high, according to your business needs, and make some comments. Please, this time, read the reports. Or something nicer. But, I mean, you can have your comments there, your extra flavor. And over here, I have the subscription processing options, and I can set the I had the problem with the word schedule. And you can see here I have several options for hour, day, week, month, and you have the days of the week every week. If you would like this to start in Monday at 8 o'clock in the morning, you would like to your boss or anybody in your organization to have this report, anybody that make decisions. And you can start today, or you can stop this. Let's say I would like to stop this next week because I probably will have a different report or whatever other decision your business made. And I select OK. And here, since I have parameters in my report, I can go with the default information, which is the state defaulted, and choose any city. Or I can override this and choose from here different state. But since this is for the Colorado sales, then I use the default, and I will choose a city there. And also the reseller name, because remember this is the other parameter values that I have. And I select OK. And then I have sent my subscription. Another thing that I would like to mention, that before doing the subscription, you probably have to come back to the Report Manager configuration application, because here, this is from here where you would select your server. And it was showing my name, if you realize at the beginning, because I was the one creating the subscription, and this is me who I'm creating and sending, but I mean, this can be configurable, and you can put your server information there, and this is where it's pulling this information from. And that's how you can send your subscription to your viewers. There are other type of subscription that you can do in Report Manager. And let's go to the Manage, to the Properties Manage. And over here you will have, you can also create a link report from here. And we can see that we have added or created a subscription. But we also can create a new data-driven subscription. Before continue, anybody has any question?
Yeah, Sardis actually has a good question. It says, are you going to show data-driven subscriptions in this session?
I have, yeah, I can show a little bit. I must say that I have created, you have to create a table for it. And you have to maintain it. I have created one table here for, I mean, I can add more emails. Yeah, I can show a little bit of a data-driven subscription, but you have to set up a table in the database, and you have to maintain it to keep your data-driven subscription. Let me go ahead and, any other questions? No? Okay. I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna see if I can do this with this the table that I have created. I would like to have a description. Again, Colorado sales. And I would like to be, let's email, because that in my table, that's what I have, emails. And I have the option to share or specify the data source that contains the recipient information. I'm going to continue next. And let me see if I can just do my specify the shared data source. It will allow me. Yes, this is what I was thinking. I will have, so I don't have to enter the information again for my data source. So I will have the information there. I'm sorry if I went too fast. If I don't specify the data source, then I have to specify the connection string here, like the initial catalog and where the server is located, what is the server name, and then your credentials. But since I already have that in the folder, so I'm choosing my data source, and it does all that work for me. And here you can do your query command. Let's say I'm doing this from the DBM. I'm using the select star, it's just because it's only two emails that I have here. So I just go ahead and select the select star from, and it will be my table, description, delivery. And I can overwrite these values over here. I can validate this, and the query is successful. And then you can specify your values here, specify delivery extensions to where it's going, to whoever else you want to send this information, and the rendering format. You have several options for the rendering format. Your priority, pretty much similar to the email, but this will, the advantage of the data-driven subscription is that it will it will allow you to deploy or to send your report to a broader audience. You can have 100 emails there, and you should be able to send your report to as many users as you want, or as many users as you need to send. So let me see if it allow me to go, because I haven't selected any other values. Let me see. Yeah, let me see. me see if I can get this from the database. Let me see if it will allow me to this. Okay. And I can specify my city or choose it from the database, but I'm going to type it here. My reseller. Parameter. And this is step 6. It's a series of steps before doing the data subscription. And you have the options to notify the recipients. Whatever option, this is the last step, and you just, oh, mine is, yeah, I probably have to set it, but I mean, this step of 6 will allow you to create a data-driven subscription, and will allow you to deploy to several, more than 1, 2, or 3 emails. Any other questions?
Sardis, this is Mike.
Have? Okay, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, Sardis, we had a question. Are you going to show how to do a subscription to the Windows file share?
Oh, yes. I needed to set up a workspace, but I can walk you through the steps. Let's go ahead and use the same folder. I love this Colorado sales. And let's go ahead and over here, when I go to my subscription, and change the delivered by the Windows file share. And you can see it's pretty easy. You have the file name already set up. You can change this if you want. And here is where you're going to set up your path. Let's say if I have like a workspace called Sardis, and I would like to name it subscription. You have to set up before. Okay, go ahead.
So Sardis, it looks like you're using a shared location there. So so you have to use a shared location. You can't put in like C:/ and something like that, right?
Yeah, exactly. You got it right. Yes, you have to set up this shared location with your permissions ahead of before getting to this point. Yes, I'm using a shared location. You're right, Mike. Anything else? No? Okay. And then you can go ahead. Hello? Okay. And then you can select the render format, if I would like PDF, and this here will add the file extension when the file is created, so I don't have to add that. It will add it by itself. And then you have here your credentials. Again, I'm using my Windows credential. And if I would like to override with a newer version or not, then I have the override options. And then I have the schedule. I haven't put the password at first because let's see if I put my password here, and then I'm going to select the schedule. This will get rid of my password. Let's go ahead and select Tuesday. I will go down here. See, it took away my password. So it's better to set up everything and then put your password at the end. I'm using the default. It's because I have parameters. And then I can, after I'm finishing setting up the my options, then I can go ahead and put my password. It's the last thing. Probably is an issue with the report manager, but that's how it is. And sometimes you may wonder what my password went. Well, now you know. And then you go ahead and set up your subscription using a Windows file share. And you can see when you done this, because in the properties you will have your subscription that you have created, and you can edit them as the business need or as your needs changes according to your environment. We have other options here: processing options, cache refresh options, snapshot options, and history and security. These, I'm not going to be talking about this because these are mostly for performance let me show you what I mean by that. I have this report here, and see how it takes some time to show the information. But depending on what your needs are, you probably would like the information to be faster, or if you have a very long report. So you can configure that those properties of your file by changing how it processes. And I would like to, probably will have another webinar where I would explain this in more detail. And some people prefer cache or snapshots. And again, it's according to your business needs. One take more space than other in your server. So you have, before deciding which option you're going to choose for a cache or a snapshot, you probably need to talk with your team and see what is best for your environment. But this will allow you, like for example, to pull the report faster, or if you don't need data to be pulled, the most current data, then you probably would like to have like a history where you can pull the data from 24 hours ago or 2 days ago, and this is where this option and report history come handy for your reports. But this will be another webinar, and I hope you attend the webinar, and we'll have more fun again, and we'll talk about this. And you probably have questions for me, and then I should be able to answer those. Any other questions?
Yes, Artis, we got another good question here from Alexis. It says, what are the pros and cons of caching versus snapshot?
Oh, well, as far as I know, with the can you pronounce it again? Snapshot? I have probably with that word too.
Snapshot, yes.
Snapshot.
I think, yeah, snapshot. I don't know how you pronounce it in Spanish.
Oh, I don't know. Right now, I kind of forgot. But the only thing that I've been reading a lot about Snapshot is it takes space, and it, like again I said, it according to your need. If you don't like data on demand, like I don't need the most current data, then it's fine, you can use Snapshot. But if you need data on demand, that you need the most current value information, then it's better if you use a cache option. That's mostly what I've been reading about. But again, this is a good webinar session, another good webinar session that we can go and explain more about performance.
Yeah, that's a great answer, Sarge. I wanted to add one thing to that. So snapshots allow you to actually go back and view past history of reports. So you have a list of those snapshots, and they can view those as see what the data looked like at that time. Caching is kind of just a temporary thing, so we pull in cache, and so when the end users come in and run a report live, it pulls from the cache instead of going and hitting the database.
Excellent, excellent. And like I said, you probably would like to have those conversations with your team. If you have, how many snapshots are you going to keep in your history? What is your space in the server? So it's a conversation. It's according to your business needs, and that's a conversation you would like to have with your team. I think my time is almost done.
We got one more question, Sarge. This is I'm not sure if I understand the question right, so let me make sure I understand it. It says, I have a report using Excel as data source. How to deploy it dynamically where the path is a parameter of the report. Path of the files. Oh, okay, I see. So do you mind if I take this one, Sardis?
Yes, go ahead. Absolutely.
Okay. So it looks like you have a report coming in, and you want a file to be spit out, and the file name or the file location is coming from a parameter on the report. So that parameter that you're feeding into the report is coming from some sort of data source somewhere. It sounds like you're probably going to need a data-driven subscription for that, and a data-driven subscription is going to need to pull that data in from whatever data is feeding to the parameter needs to feed into a column coming from the data-driven subscriptions query, and then use that as your file location. You may have to do some concatenation with some other items, but you'll need to do something dynamic there with a data-driven subscription to make that work. And that is the last question we had, Sardis. Great job.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm happy, and hopefully, again, I have another webinar about deployments. It's a lot to talk about deployments, especially if we're going to be using SharePoint. Most organizations have SharePoint, and probably this one will come soon, and I hope you guys attend to that one too. Thank you. And let me show you something, my contacts. I'm sorry, I'm being so rude. This is where you can contact me. And if you have any question, or if you would like to send me a tweet or email, and I will be happy, because like I say, so much to learn about deployment, so much that I need to learn. And if you grace me with your emails or comments, I appreciate it.
Yep. And I think we'll pass it back over to Rachel or Melissa, whoever started the webinar.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. Yep, Sardis, you did an awesome job. Just want to remind everyone our trainings are recorded and will be made available by the end of the week. So if you want to go back and review, if there was something you missed, or just something you want to go back and review a few times, that'll be made available by tomorrow afternoon. So thank you for joining, and Mike and Sardis, have a great afternoon.
Thank you.